tell you next on Freedom about what you absolutely can't afford to miss these days. This is a roundup of the day's top news. My name is Mikhail Baranov. Hello. Russia launched 2 Iskander M ballistic missiles and 138 drones at Ukraine overnight into Thursday. About 85 of them were attack drones, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. Ukrainian air defenders neutralized 114 drones of various types in the north, south, and east of the country. Missile and drone strikes were recorded at 14 locations. In Kherson, a 6-year-old girl who was injured in yesterday's artillery shelling of the city has died. Doctors fought for her life, but her injuries were too severe, according to local authorities. The child's father was hospitalized in moderate condition. Explosions were heard in Kherson again today, starting early in the morning. As a result of the Russian attack, 4 people were injured. They suffered concussions, blast injuries, and traumatic brain injuries. The number of people injured as a result of yesterday's Russian missile attack on Kryvyi Rih has risen to 6. This was reported by the city mayor, Yuri Vilko. According to him, a 3-year-old girl is among the wounded. In addition to the administrative building, which was the intended target of the Russians, 15 apartment buildings and about 30 private homes were damaged. Also affected were a school, a gas pipeline, stores, garages, and cars. 7 people were injured as a result of the Russian attack on Odesa. Several dozen apartment buildings were damaged, as well as an energy facility, which left part of the city without power. Ksenia Satinska reports on the aftermath of Russia's latest strike.
It hit here. Now this whole thing needs to be completely rebuilt. The door won't close.
Valentina shows her apartment. After the Russian shelling, the windows here were blown out and the blast wave knocked down the walls.
There was a woman here, an old lady, 86 years old. She's a displaced person from Donetsk region. She managed to run out into the hallway and the police saved her. They got her out and then her son took her home. Think how bad. Well, they fixed my windows, but the doors will have to be restored later. But the most important thing is this right here.
Is it even possible to repair this?
No, they said that this part right here, it needs to be removed and the wall has to be rebuilt from scratch.
A residential district of Odesa came under attack. Several dozen apartment buildings were damaged. More than 1,000 apartments were left without windows.
No glass, no doors. There was glass there too, and the front doors got jammed. My daughter came with her husband, and they managed to open them. At first there was an explosion far away, then one nearby. The 3rd or 4th time, the glass shattered and everything went flying. Mom tried to hide.
Local residents say the attack started around midnight.
It happened several times, and it was really unsettling. I still get goosebumps. It was terrifying.
How are you feeling today?
Well, how do you think? Scared out of my mind. God willing, this will all be over soon. I really feel sorry for the people who are right here, at my place. My apartment was shaking, and I live on Botarova, a bit farther away. How far is that? It was really scary, really. You wouldn't wish this on anyone.
The walls here, the walls were shaking so much that we thought, honestly, I thought the whole building had been blown apart. We were standing there, shaken with fear, of course. Oh, it was terrifying to go through that. All the glass was falling, I thought. Really? The whole stairwell? It felt like the whole building collapsed.
The Russian army attacked Odesa with Shahed-type attack drones in 2 waves. After the all-clear, the invaders launched drones at the city again.
Everything was booming like crazy, really, really loud. The building was shaking, swaying back and forth. I saw fire in the windows. For 10 minutes, it was enough to drop dead. Excuse me.
An energy facility was also hit. Part of one of Odesa's districts was left without electricity. Utility workers and rescuers are dealing with the aftermath of the Russian attack. Ksenia Satinskaya, Zurab Tedaluri from Odesa for Freedom TV channel.
Settlements in the Dnipropetrovsk region also came under fire from the Russian army. The occupiers shelled the Nikopol district with heavy artillery. 2 private houses, a gas pipeline, and a car were damaged. A woman was injured, according to local authorities. The Sinelnikova district was hit by drones. 1 private house was completely destroyed, and 11 more were damaged. 9 people were injured, including 2 children in Sloviansk, Donetsk region, as a result of an attack by Russian forces. The Russians dropped 9 aerial bombs on the city. One of them partially destroyed a residential building. More on the aftermath of this attack in our report.
An aerial bomb hit the house where Marina lives. When the explosion happened, she was sitting in an armchair. Shards instantly flew into my face, the woman says.
Glass rained down on me. Here's the result. Everything fell on me. All the glass, all the doors, everything fell on me. That's all.
The explosion partially destroyed the 2-story building, and people were trapped under the rubble. Rescuers pulled the injured out from under the debris and helped residents gather whatever belongings survived. Rafik Karapetyan came to Sloviansk from Armenia after the devastating earthquake in 1988. Back then, it was a natural disaster that destroyed his home. Now it's the war, the man says.
We came here, raised our children, brought them up, married them off, fell in love, had kids. Then the war started, and now everything is being lost. This is the second time I've seen something like this. But back then, it was an earthquake. Within 10 minutes, the whole city was gone. And now it's happening piece by piece.
The victims have mine and blast injuries, shrapnel wounds, and acute stress reactions, according to doctors. In different parts of the city, more than 10 apartment buildings and about 30 private homes have been damaged. Authorities in Donetsk region have urged residents to evacuate to safer areas. Oleg Pritikin for Freedom TV Chill.
According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russian troops attempted to break through Ukrainian defenses 170 times over the past day. Almost a quarter of all battles took place in the Pokrov direction. Russian forces also launched active attacks on the Kostiantinovka section of the front. There, 29 breakthrough attempts were recorded. The defense forces also repelled more than a dozen Russian assaults, each in the Alexandrivka, Hulyaipo, Sloviansk, and Lyman directions. Over the past day, Ukraine's defense forces eliminated 1,140 Russian occupiers. Thus, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russian army losses since the start of the full-scale war have exceeded 1,177,000 soldiers. In addition, the day before, Ukrainian forces destroyed 3 Russian tanks, 3 armored combat vehicles, 29 artillery systems, 1 multiple rocket launcher, and 125 vehicles. Russia is sending abducted Ukrainian children to military camps in Belarus and North Korea. This was stated by an expert. Katerina Reshevska of the Regional Center for Human Rights said this during hearings in the United States Senate. According to her, they have managed to document 165 such camps where young Ukrainians are being militarized and Russified.
Such a very, truly indeed.
Camps exist in the temporarily occupied territories in Russia, Belarus, and North Korea. In this photo is 12-year-old Mikhail from the temporarily occupied Donetsk region. And this is 16-year-old Liza from Simferopol. They were sent to a camp in North Korea, 9,000 kilometers from home. In this camp, children are taught to destroy Japanese militarists and meet with Korean veterans who, in 1968, attacked the U.S. ship Pueblo, killing and wounding 9 American soldiers. The UN Assembly demands that Russia immediately return all illegally deported Ukrainian children. The corresponding resolution was adopted at the General Assembly by a majority vote. It emphasizes the inadmissibility of further practices of relocating and separating children from their families. 91 countries supported the document. 12 countries voted against it, including the Russian Federation, Belarus, and Iran. Russia has no place at the OSCE table. There should be no war criminals in the organization. This was stated by Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrii Sybiha ahead of the meeting of OSCE member states' foreign ministers in Vienna. He reminded everyone of the war crimes being committed by the Russian Federation's army in Ukraine. He also drew his colleagues' attention to the fact that Moscow has already lost elections in 4 international bodies in recent months, in the Council of the International Civil Aviation Organization, as well as the International Maritime Organization. Russia also failed to get into the UNESCO Executive Board, as well as the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. 195,000 war crimes, 671 children killed, and more than 2,000 wounded. Torture, rape, and systematic human rights violations. All of this must stop. Countries around the world do not consider Russia a partner in solving global problems. After all, it is Moscow that is the root cause of global problems. There is also no reason to believe that Russia can be a partner here in the OSCE. Andrii Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, and his statement at the meeting of foreign ministers of OSCE member states. Ukraine's security and the country's process of joining the EU. Volodymyr Zelensky discussed this with the president of Cyprus in Kyiv. Nikos Christodoulis arrived in Kyiv for the first time since the start of the full-scale invasion by the Russian Federation. His visit is taking place as Cyprus prepares to assume the presidency of the EU Council at the start of the new year. The path of Ukraine to the European Union will be one of the most important issues on the agenda, as will the continuation of European sanctions, said the president of Cyprus. We expect that the coming months will bring more progress on Ukraine's path to the EU, and the Cypriot presidency could become historic in terms of opening clusters in Ukraine and making other necessary decisions. Cyprus supports the sanctions policy against Russia for this war, for all the destruction caused by this war. Right now, the leaders of the European Union are preparing a new package of sanctions. We want to make it truly effective. This means continuing to put pressure on Russia's energy sector and everything else that brings revenue to Russia's budget.
Cyprus has always supported Ukraine. It has always stood on the side of Ukraine, on the right side of history, and it will continue to do so. In connection with our presidency of the EU Council, we will be on the side of Ukraine. During this period when Europe is under geopolitical pressure, of course, unity, integrity, and determination are needed. Cyprus is ready and is doing everything possible to help Ukraine on this path to become a member of the European Union.
Diplomatic meetings regarding the peace plan project are ongoing. The results of the negotiations between the Ukrainian and American sides in Geneva and Florida were shared by the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, Rustem Umerov, during the conversation with national security advisors from Germany, France, Italy, Poland, as well as Finland and the United Kingdom. The meeting also discussed the issue of security guarantees for Ukraine.
It is important for Europe to remain an active participant in the process. And when it comes to bringing peace closer and shaping the future security architecture, we must work together to develop a framework of security guarantees that will be real and effective for the long-term security of both Ukraine and all of Europe. Rustem Umerov, Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, head of the negotiating team, on Telegram.
Another round of negotiations between Kyiv and Washington is expected to take place today. Miami. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will meet with Ukraine's chief negotiator, Rustem Umerov, to continue discussions on Trump's peace plan proposal. As Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S., Olga Stefanishina, told the press during a meeting in the U.S. Senate, there hasn't been much progress in the negotiations so far, but the diplomatic process is ongoing.
Ukraine is focused on achieving resolve. Ukraine is interested in a just and lasting peace. We have invested a lot of time in negotiations with the American side about potential agreements. We don't need to wait for promises from Russia. Russia has already committed enough war crimes. They failed the negotiations in Alaska. They failed the negotiations in Budapest. They failed the negotiations on the 28-point peace plan.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.